everyone, welcome to my weekend project. Hope you had a great week. We are starting this fixing of an heirloom or an antique quilt. It's been around for, well, it's been made a while ago, so it's over 20 years old. It has been tied and it was put together, and then the outside edge or the backing was flipped over to the side. So I've got that all ripped out. I've cut most of the ties so far. You can see where there's a few bits here. I just want to show you the corner and what accumulates in a quilt. And there's lots of holes in this batting as well. Sorry, I got fluffs in my eyes. So we're going to be doing some maintenance on it. We're going to be fixing it up so it can be used again and loved. So it is going to actually get put on the long arm once it's ready for that. Once we've got cut quite a few holes to fix in the top itself. Okay, and they were trying to be really helpful on removing the bits that they didn't want. Unfortunately, they were taking the seam allowance that we needed from other blocks to be able to put that in. So I'm going to try and do the best that I can with those bigger sections. Okay, so just do what we can, right? So here, let's finally get it apart. And I was using, just need a couple tools for this. Is like a nice pair of scissors, a seam ripper, and of course a ruler and rotary cutter, and any pieces that you're going to be able to replace with. So that was one of the ties. Just try and cut both sides of it, and then anything that might be attached. Okay, pull out there, and I'll go and take all the little circles off of what the old tied fabric or the old tie was, and then we'll have to fix that seam there. Got it all. We'll have to get it all cleaned up first. Okay, I think there's only one more spot that this was holding all together here. Hold on. Oh, maybe there wasn't. Hold on. There's a couple ties here. This is a basic 9 patch. It's super beautiful. I love all the fabric that they chose in it, and you can tell this quilt has been loved over the years. Okay. Oh, there's a couple more here. And the poly batting on the inside is literally just wore itself apart. Okay. And some of the fibers have like really blended and melded together. So you kind of have to do some clipping. So be gentle, just kind of fluffing it as you go to make sure everybody is separated. Okay, I think we got complete separation there now. And you can see how we've got some big holes in this batting. Okay. So we'll just put this off to the side for the moment, and I'll get all those little ties all pulled off. Pop it in its bag right there. Okay, and then for the pieces to be filled, there's quite a few that are been hand stitched, so I'm going to try and fix those as well. See right there, take that seam out, try and machine it so it's a little bit more secure, and then and proceed from there. So here's a spot perfect that we could work on. You can see how the remnants of the old block were there, so we want to make sure we're coming in with our seam ripper and cleaning all the old remnants up. Okay, and then these squares seem to be 4.5 by 4.5, and that's what I cut the spare fabric that they gave me to use. I think I'm gonna have to use some more, so I'll have to call him, and we're gonna go from there. So I do have one that's a 2-piece put together here because I noticed there was a section that was a 2-piece. So I was like, okay, well, we'll prep there. But this is definitely a journey, and you know, I'm glad it wants to be brought to new life, you know. And I asked how they wanted me to finish it, like did they want me to retie it, and he said he just wants it to last as long as possible. So we're going to put it on the long arm and do a nice big block rate stitch out right in the center, like right in here. We're going to leave the white, the sashing the right where it is in the border, and then just try to, you know, so it'll last longer for where it's going, right? Okay, we can use the scissors to trim up all this fluff. Yeah, you really want to go in there and do some really good tidying with all the old remnants, get it out of the way. Yeah, because unfortunately they cut the sashing too, and the blocks around it, so I'm missing a bunch of seam allowance, but like I said, we'll do the best we can. Okay. And you don't really want to rip anything, you just kind of want to gently tug at it and get it away so you can see the thread. Because some of these materials are still really fragile. And then with time and patience, you will get it done. Whether you're repairing one for someone else or you're trying to repair one for yourself. So all I can suggest is patience. So we got that side off. Okay, we can clean up this little corner here too. We got the block is actually still there, which is good. I don't know what that was. Because that means we got the seam allowance at least in the corner. Okay. Right. Try and spread that out a little bit so we can see. And when it comes to this, it's mostly cleaning up what you need to get rid of. Just trying to get the fabric knot at the top. The two fibers have kind of melded together there. Okay. Okay, now we're going to cut one of these to 4.5 by, well, I don't know, let's give her a measure because this one's missing a bit, especially up on this edge here. We'll try and even that as much as possible. We still have some cleanup there. Okay, but let's just get a roundabout idea of how much we're going to have to use. Okay, so seam allowance. Looks like we're looking at about a 5" by 4.5, 5 by 4.5. Okay, let's clean it up a bit. We'll cut it 5 by 5 just in case, and then we can adjust. All right, so some of these pieces are going to have to be adjusted, right? And hopefully, you know, when you're doing a repair, you've got stuff that you can repair with that's from the person that made the quilt, or at least from the people who love the quilt. So you can actually incorporate, you know, the same family love right back in, right? And pajamas is nice, but it's nice to have cotton as well. You know, pajamas are a little bit more on the flexible side. Okay, this one we have to take the tie out too. There we go. Make sure the tie is out over here. That's just fabric. Okay. And then there, looks like all 4 corners are all cleaned up. Okay, like I said, we're going to do 5 by 5. Okay. Sorry if I cut that out of the camera there. Scoot that over. One, two, three, four, 5. Okay. I'll probably have to piece some of these together. There. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There. Okay, so now we want to, where's the little section I was working on? No, that wasn't a, oh, good gravy. It couldn't have gone far. It wasn't near the edge. Oh, Laura Lynn. That wasn't that. There we go. I think that was it. Yep, here we go. Whew. All right. Brain fart. All right. So now we want to make sure that that piece is going to fit in there. Okay. So we're going to have to pin. Let's grab some pins here. Good fun project to take on with someone too, right? You know, it's always nice to have a buddy. Yeah, we're missing a bit of seam allowance there too, so we're just going to have to try and adjust the best we can. Unfortunately, that stuff is important. Oh, and that one's a little bit ripped there too. All right, so let's use the whole section, okay, since it's ripped or cut. Okay, we're going to use the whole section just to kind of hopefully reinforce. We'll do one side and another. And again, we won't even, because we can't even use that as the seam allowance, right? Like that's just, it's too chopped. So we're going to come right up close and use that partially rolled edge or folded edge as our start to our seam allowance. All we can do is the best that we can, right? And because it has a little bit of stretch to it, this actually might work into our favor. All right, so let's do those. It's over here. Get it underneath the machine. We'll do one side, then the next. Okay. And still be gentle. It's still got some fragility, and because of the holes, you don't want to hook anything in or make any of those tears any worse. Okay. All we can do is just line it up. Stretches as it's sewing. We want to come all the way up to about there, so about a 1/4 inch away, so we have a little bit to use on the other side. I'm just going to go back stitch real quick, turn this around and do the other edge. Okay. I'm making sure still to leave it a bit of a edge so I can seam allowance to sew to the other side of the block that doesn't have any. Okay. Yeah, at this point, you know, it can't be perfect, but it can be usable again and loved again. Okay, let's see how that turned out. Okay, that turned out pretty good. Now let's try and pin up those other two sides. Okay. Let's see if we can get it just kind of sit a little bit better, right? And again, I think we should just use what we have there as the seam allowance. As well. Like I said, eventually you will work your way through your project. It's just going to take time and patience. Okay? But it's definitely worth it. And it's hard to put a price on something like this because it is going to take extra time. But, you know, also realize it's just I'm not saying it's just but you're just mending something that was truly loved by somebody and you really want to get it back to them. That's really the key thing. Okay. Let's see how that looks. Okay. Ooh, all right, we got one more here. Yeah, if you're not a subscriber to the channel, subscribe and hit the alarm bell. That would be awesome and amazing. And then you can see how this ends up getting finished. Okay, there's a little bit of a pucker in this corner here. I'll show you on this camera. So you can see that there's a little bit of a pucker. But what we're going to do is we're going to try and tuck it down and then sew this across. Kind of just seal that little pucker right in, so there's no hole, but it's sealed. Like I said, it's not going to be perfect, but at least it can try to be loved again. Okay, there we go. It's just a little tiny little fold there, but we kind of needed that because there was no seam allowance. Okay, you're going to see how we had to come into the border here. Okay, so I'm going to do that for all the little squares that I got and then do some more cleaning up of these fibers that are under here, these little balls of you know, are not going to be lovely on the long arm to bump over. So I'll get all those trimmed up and get this quilt top all mended and ready to go. So yes, I hope to show you soon on the long arm the final result of this beautiful project. So pull all these out too. Hope you have an amazing day. We'll see you tomorrow, Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, come hang out with us. I don't know, I forget what we're doing. I don't know what we're doing. We're doing something. Come hang out. Okay. Big hugs to you and your family. Have an amazing day.